Glory to you, O Lord.
Mary set out and traveled.
Promises, promises, promises. Probably all of us at one time or another have, in exasperation, said that to someone. I could have said that to one of our parishioners at the 4:00 p.m. Mass yesterday. She and I tease each other a lot, and the week before she was trying to convince me how angelic she was. I wasn't buying it, so she said she would bring a picture to show me. So it is the promise of God. But it is precisely that promise that gives substance to the hope of the people and gives a direction to their lives. At the end of the exile, the remnant who still believe return to rebuild their lives in the hope that God will indeed keep his promises. At the beginning of Luke's gospel, we are introduced to an aged married couple who stay alive on that hope, Zechariah and Elizabeth, the parents of John the Baptist. They represent the hope that did not die, and they see it fulfilled in their son John, who is to prepare for the one from Bethlehem. And it is the fulfilled hope of that old couple which is given to Mary as a sign. Know this too, your kinswoman Elizabeth has in her old age herself conceived a son, for nothing is impossible with God. Mary hurries to see this sign of hope fulfilled. In the meeting of the old Elizabeth and the young Mary, the Old Testament meets the New Testament. The ancient promise meets its fulfillment in two mothers, Elizabeth, the mother of the last great prophet who will go before the Lord, and Mary, the mother of the Lord himself. It is a time of good news, of great blessing. It is a time for rejoicing. The old promises are new events, and now is the time of their long-awaited fulfillment. It's a great time. It is through Mary that God is seen to keep the promise announced through the prophet Micah so long ago. The promise of God will take flesh in her and be formed in the person of Jesus. In today's gospel, Mary is blessed for believing that the promises made to her by the Lord would be fulfilled. In Mary, we can see that God doesn't just make promises, but keeps them. In Mary, we can see someone who allows the promise of God to shape her whole life, not in a passive way, but because she says yes to the promise happening in her. The promise has a name, Jesus. He will fulfill all that has gone before and give new meaning to all that will happen after him. He stands at the very center of time between BC and AD. And he is the one who stands at the very center of our lives. In just a few days, we will celebrate the great event that Jesus is the kept promise of God. It was over 700 years before Micah's prophecy was fulfilled. As Advent comes to a close, let us remember the promise that Jesus will return again. Christians have been waiting over 2,000 years for that promise to be fulfilled. But let us not lose hope, for God, unlike us, is faithful to his promises.